like put onto me a lot, that's a lot of pressure personally, because it's like, you know, annual conference comes up and like it's inevitable that they want your picture and your testimony up there, and it's like I don't really want to do that, you know, like it's like all right, but and then as far as my time goes, I get asked to go to a lot of places and you know, to talk about what we're doing or to teach about what we're doing. And so the way I say it, and this is just my very frank way of saying this, is you're almost like the show pony, you know, when something goes successful. And that's uncomfortable to me because I'm just not that type of person. I don't want to be paraded around. Like, you know, it's not me anyway. I'll give you tools. I'll tell you what we do. Like, I love this. Like, this is awesome. I'm glad. But like, you know, I don't want to just prance around so people can, you know, see. And so that's been one of the things as far as our system goes that I've struggled with. But as far as the community goes and the little bit of tension at Churchill, I think overall they really love what we're doing. I mean, we do a couple of really big outreach events during the year, Easter egg hunt and our harvest party, and there's tons of people that show up for that. I mean, we have 350 to 400 people that show up for that.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, I'm okay with those questions. Space. Space seems to be an issue that permeates most of the comments you make.
Yes, and space is definitely a road. Yeah, definitely a roadblock. Something that we just have to be really creative and strategic with. You know, so but we'll make it happen. You know, if we got to go outside and put a tent up, we'll do it. You know, so I'm cool with that.
Well, you indicated you at least have a quote. For possible extension of this building.
Yeah.
Which
we just need somebody to come up with $120,000
That's all.
and just write me a check, and we'll be good to go and get that done right away. So
next week.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm in this coaching group, and we were sitting there, and one of the guys walks in. He's like, "Oh, I just got a really good phone call." He's like, "We just got a check for $25,000 dropped off in the secretary's office," and I was like, "Oh, good for you." You know, I was like, "What are you gonna do with that?" He's like, we got it. You know, I'm like, well, if you need any, you know, help getting rid of it, just let me know. You know, we could
endorse it over to.
Yeah. We can totally work with that. So.
I think you've covered a lot of these, but I'll go ahead and run through them, and you have a copy of it, so that helps. What structural organizational changes have been made to accommodate this emerging model for ministry? And I think you talked about that. I think you hit upon that. Guys, did you hear that in his conversation?
Yeah, I believe I did.
Okay. And we talked about any physical building structural changes, and you talked about that. What has happened to any former or now unused church properties? And this is it. You've moved from your site, and this is it.
Yep, this is it. Yep.
Okay. And I think that you hit upon how people are dealing with that. The organizational changes that have taken place, you've talked about that. And you've been appointed.
Yes.
So that was covered. Guys, does he need to cover anything else? What is working best right now? I think it's working.
Yeah, I think, you know, the church staff you've discussed, the parish understanding between your group and Churchill and the community. On the appointment, deployment of clergy, I don't know that that's really a relevant question because you're it.
Yeah, you're it.
Okay. So if you had to pinpoint it and you had to say what is working best right now, what do you really feel good about? What can we?
As far as
that's
just
question.
overall, or is it pertaining to the structure and all that, or is that overall? I mean, I think.
Overall, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I think what is working right now is. I think what's working right now, to be honest, one of the things that we're really excited about is our discipleship process.
Okay.
That has been something that I think we talk about a lot, just overall, and it's something that has absolutely been a real big blessing to us. We have these things that we have established called 3G communities, and the 3Gs stand for the three principles that we carry with us, and the principles are growth, giving, and gratitude. And so as we are, so when we're talking about growing and we're talking about discipleship, 3 principles that we base off of are, like I said, growth, giving, and gratitude. So you want to be constantly growing, you want to be challenged in your giving and give sacrificially, and then you want to serve out of your gratitude for what it is that God has done for you. So we carry those with us wherever we go. So when you become a partner here, which translates as you become a member here, we talk about those 3 things in depth. So we want you to constantly be growing. How do you grow? Here's the discipleship process. We want you to grow in your giving. We want you to sacrificially give. How do you do that? We want you to serve out of being grateful. How do you do that? So we equip them with that. But I think that one of the growth piece has really been exciting because these 3G communities, they're mission based. So the goal of them is not to just get together and to just hold hands and just love the time that you have together. The goal of them is that you're multiplying. So we've heard that, discipleship is not addition, it's multiplication. Okay, so how do you multiply? So we have these groups that are sort of like affinity groups, but not. So a sewing group, we have a group that they make different meals, and so they'll have different themes. They'll have like Mexican night and this and that. The goal of it is to reach people who are not plugged into a church community, and to go out and to invite them to be a part of this group, to have spiritual conversation, and to help see where they are in the process of development. And so those groups are designed to eventually dissipate from what they originally started as to form new ones. So we're multiplying. That's been working really, really well. That's where we've gotten to the 40% in small groups in our 3Gs, which is impressive in my opinion. But very missional, very, very focused. And then along with that piece is just our entire process. I don't know, I might have something printed that I can print for you guys. But what we do is we have different, have you ever seen anybody try to put together a discipleship process, or do you have those? Do you have those in your context? Or have you ever...
I've seen it.
Okay, and some of them do different things. They do like a train track, and they'll say like this, or they'll do like whatever. We don't really do that. We just have different things that happen. We have this graphic that our discipleship pastor put together, and she is an artist, and so there's no order to it. It's more like this is just where people are, because if you think about it, discipleship is not this boom, 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 boom. Discipleship is a process. And so our graphic for it looks like, I'll show it to you. But we have different pieces to it. So one of the things that we do is we call it lunch with the pastors, and we'll get together. And if you've been coming to the church for a while, or if it's your first time, like just join us after church, and we'll sit down with them and we'll get to know them, and we'll have lunch with them. So we buy them food and we just talk and this and that. And then the next goal is to get them plugged into a 3G community. And then once they're plugged into a community, one of the next steps, if you will, is that when we offer short-term Bible studies, to get them plugged into that, based off of things that they have questions about. So let me give you an example. So this is what an ideal person would look like. Let's say Joe walks into church. Hey, I want to know more about the church. Hey, we have lunch with the pastors next week. You should come in. We sit down with Joe and whomever else. We ask them questions. They ask us questions. We get to know them. Through that conversation, Leah, who's our discipleship and youth pastor, she's listening for how to plug that person into a 3G group. And so she's being observant to that, seeing what would work with them, plug them into a group. When we then, as we do once every 2 months, we do short-term Bible studies. So this month, I'm doing 3 Simple Rules by John Wesley. Okay, so we're going to focus on that. And so what we'll do is we'll invite Joe to be a part of that study to start the process of deepening his faith. Okay. After that happens, then we will offer another set of courses, classes, whatever you want to call it, to where we'll talk about the growth, the giving, the gratitude. After that's done, then we will then give him a spiritual gifts assessment to see where he can fit in, and to where would be best, what would be the best place for him to fit in. So it's not this like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. he's growing the entire time, you know, and so you can almost look at it as like going to school. You start in grade 1, you're learning the entire time. You're learning different things, many different levels, and then like you graduate, you know. But their graduation in our context and in our process is that they're going to go out now and serve, and then they're going to be a part of the next round. You know what I'm saying? And so this is all happening. It's not like, okay, we're going to have 3 months set aside for this to happen. It's all happening at one time. And so that's sort of what our process is, and we're really excited about that because we've seen a lot of people really grab a hold of that and really feel like they're a part of something.